What is up, YouTube? Hey, how's it going? BMoto here again with another moto vlog. This will be number 2. Woohoo! Anyway, I thought I'd do this vlog about motorcycles and how I got into riding bikes. Well, it's a pretty simple story, actually. When I was about 10 years old, my buddy that lived across the street from me had a little Suzuki DS80 or something like that. And man, I wanted to ride that thing so bad, and he never would let me. So what happened was I hounded my dad, kind of started to let him know I had the interest in riding a bike. And one day he comes home with this little Honda MR50. I have no idea what year it was, and it was in the 70s at some point. But it was a little 50. I was about 10 or 11 years old. So I thought, okay, well, a little bike is better than no bike, so I rode the hell out of that thing. Took it off of little jumps, crashed it, tore it up. Well, I sure wish I had that bike today. That's a little collector's item there. Look that up on the internet, man. Anyway, outgrew the 50, started hounding the old man again about getting me a bigger bike. And you gotta kind of know where my dad comes from. My dad is like kind of like Fred Sanford, but he doesn't deal in junk. That makes sense. My dad's like that kind of guy that goes out and finds deals on things and buys them and sells them and makes like twice his money on them. He's retired now. He's in his 70s now, but he still does that. He does that with lawn and, you know, construction-y type like tractors and backhoes and whatnot. Anyway, so I knew I wasn't going to get a new bike. That's pretty much given in my house, so especially when I had 2 sisters and, you know, whatever. So he comes home one day with this box, big old box, and it has looks like a motorcycle engine in it. Looked like a bike frame, couple of tires or wheels or whatever, and, you know, just a few other miscellaneous parts that said, hey, you want a bigger bike? Here's the little 125 project for you. Figure out how to put it back together. And so that's what I did. That's how I started learning to work on bikes. Just, you know, out of necessity, basically. Now, he did help me a lot because, you know, my dad's like Mr. Fix-It guy. So we worked on that bike for a couple months. Many trips to the cycle salvage. Many trips to the hardware store. All that, but that's how I learned to work on bikes. But anyway, worked on the bike for, you know, a couple months or whatever. Finally got it together, rode it for a little while, and actually I rode that thing into the ground. It just, and I don't even remember at this point what happened to it. If I sold it, did I just throw it away? I honestly don't even remember. Next bike I got was a late 70s model YZ125. That was a really killer bike. Up to that point, that was the fastest bike I'd had. I had that other 125, the Suzuki, but it wasn't nearly as fast because the engine was in terrible shape. The YZ125 engine was really strong, and had that bike for a while until one day I came home and the bike was gone. That kind of sucked. I was pretty pissed. And it actually turns out about a week or so later, my mom had come to pick me up from school, and we arrived home at our house to find some kid standing in the driveway, and he said that him and this other guy that I knew had ripped off my bike. So I basically proceeded to start beating the crap out of this kid, and my mom had to really intervene and pull me off of the guy, but that was that, and I knew basically at that point I was never going to see the bike again, because, you know, a week ago, who's going to even know where that is, you know? I'm sure they just stashed it somewhere and went on about their merry way. So then next, a little later, my dad comes home with a truckload of Husqvarnas. And really, up until that point, I'd never even seen a Husqvarna. I didn't know what the heck that was. And I was just... He had 3 Huskies and 1 other Sax or something like that. I don't know. It was hella old, and it was like kind of crappy, but I don't know. I've never had any problem having fun on even a crappy bike. Any bike is fun. And you know, those crappy bikes, you could just tear them up and not even really care if they got busted or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe that was kind of half the cool part about that. But yeah, I rode those little Huskies. And the only thing I remember about riding one of those Huskies is my dad and I took those out to the motocross park one Saturday. And I'll tell you what, I have never racked myself in the balls harder than landing a jump on one of those old ass bikes. Oh my god. So anyway, at this point I'm about 14 or 15, maybe even 16. I don't remember if I was driving or not or what, but my dad came home again with this 1985 KX125 and a 1985 KX250, and I was just so happy about that. And finally I had a pretty decent bike, and it was monoshock, which was amazing to jump after I'd been riding those dual shock bikes. Night and day difference in the way those things handled and, you know, landed and whatnot. But so yeah, one day we came home from the motocross park, and it was kind of near dinner time, so I had time enough to wash the bikes, clean the filters, put some oil in the filter and all that. My mom called me in for dinner. Well, staying in for dinner for about an hour, maybe half hour, came back out, both bikes are gone. You know, I guess that's just the way it goes when you live in a ghetto town like Houston, Texas. I don't know. I had so much stuff stolen so many different times when I lived in Houston. It was just ridiculous. Since I lived up here in Washington, really hasn't happened. I had my car stolen once up here, but that was just a bunch of crackheads, because they found crack in the car when they recovered it. That was a pretty funny story too, but that's for another time. So anyway, got my KX125, KX250 stolen. Really pissed about that. I actually think I cried about it at age 15, but yeah, don't tell anybody. But anyway, so after that, my dad was like, I'm pretty much done buying bikes for you because they keep getting stolen. And, you know, I don't have any way to prove this or not at this point, and it was, you know, 30 years ago or something like that. I don't know. But I think that people that I knew were in on that, because I don't know if really anybody else that knew that I had bikes. So I never found out, but I always suspected, you know. So he quit buying me bikes, and, you know, I guess I got into skateboarding or something at that point, or playing the drums. I don't know. But yeah, kind of got to the point where, you know, I grew up and kind of my late 20s, maybe early 30s. I started getting the itch to get a bike again. And, you know, I don't go to a lot of garage sales just because I don't have a truck, but stopped by this one garage sale once, and I saw the guy had a YZ400, of course it's an old 70s model, for sale for $10. I think I talked him down a little bit from 10 or to $10, but $10 is what I paid for it, and he even brought it over to my house on a little trailer. So that was pretty awesome. So I worked on that bike for a little bit. I didn't get to really ride it much because I don't have a truck, and you know, it wasn't a dual sport bike, it was a dirt bike, and I couldn't ride it on the road, so therefore I didn't really ride it much except for, you know, riding around the block or something like that. But it was just loud as hell, and luckily I never ran across any cops. So I worked on the YZ, got it running, got a muffler for it, you know, and then I put it on Craigslist to trade. I wanted to trade for a, you know, different bike. So I got a response from some guy, and he wanted to trade me a 79 Suzuki PE250 enduro bike for my YZ, and I did. I traded him straight across for it, and that bike was completely together. But you know me, I couldn't leave it that way. I rode it for a tiny bit, and again, no truck. So I knew that it needed to be rebuilt and all that. So I started doing that, and then the place where I was keeping it, I moved out of. It was actually a little storage unit thing, and I moved out of that. So the bike sat in my closet or garage for about a year, maybe 6 months, I don't know. And I just finally decided, you know what, I don't really want to ride dirt bikes anymore, especially since I didn't have a truck or some way to transport, you know, said dirt bikes to said dirt bike riding area. So I started kind of getting, you know, kicking the idea around to get a street bike. Oh, well, this is perfect. Well, it doesn't beep the fucking horn anymore. I'm good. So anyway, so then I decided that, yeah, I did want to start riding on the street, and you know, started looking into the best way to do that. And I decided to take the motorcycle safety course here in Washington, and so I did that, got my license. Looking back, that thing was pretty easy, but it was fun to take the class, you know. I just wanted to make sure that I, you know, knew all I needed to know to ride on the street, or at least a good start. And I did. And I can't believe there's people that actually failed that class. Like, I felt like that was the easiest thing ever. There was actually a girl in the class, and she dropped the bike within the first 30 minutes. Oh, that guy's trying to fucking... Wow. This happens when you get to be an old fuckhead, right? The fuck are you doing? Ah, damn, people are dumb. See what I mean about people in my area, man? Fuck. Anyway, took the class, got my endorsement, looked around for a bike, found a little 1997 Ninja 500, actually. Ugly ass blue-green color. And I rode that for about a year, maybe put about 1,500 miles on it, not too much. But rode that for a little while. Started to realize that I didn't feel comfortable going on long distance trips or anything like that with a bike that old, because I just wasn't sure that it wasn't going to break down, really. So I put that on Craigslist, sold it, and then went and bought the bike I'm riding now, which I'm doing all my blogs on, and it's a 2015 Yamaha FZ07. I did a lot of research on this bike, and it was inexpensive. It was under $7 grand. Wasn't too big of a bike, you know. I just maybe kind of a mid bike. You know, just did a lot of research and looked at a lot of YouTube videos and all that. I kind of wanted a Triumph Thruxton or a Triumph Bonneville for a while, but I don't know. The more I read the reviews on that bike, the more I realized that, you know, there was some things that I probably wasn't going to be able to live with. Like, I really don't understand why on the Bonneville and the Thruxton, why Triumph only has single disc at the front brake. That's retarded. Yeah, there's just a couple other complaints about the bike, and you know that Triumph hadn't really updated it in quite some time, and I don't know. The S07 just really fit what I was looking for. I was really, I like the fact that it's a naked bike, naked sport bike. One of the things I didn't like about the Ninja was the fairings. Anything you wanted to do to the bike, you had to take off at least one fairing. Oil change, you had to take off the bottom fairing. It was just a pain in the butt. You know, I mean, I was used to dirt bikes, so the bike I have now is pretty much open, and, you know, I've done a little work to it so far. But, yeah, so that pretty much takes us from the start of my riding till now, so. Well, alright guys, well, hope you liked the video. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you have any questions, or let me know what you're riding now. I'd be kind of interested in knowing that. Let me know what you like about your bike. You know, let me know like how you got started in motorcycle riding. Alright guys, this is BMoto out. You guys take care, drive safe, and I'll see you next time.